What did I just read?
This is Jackson logging on for my podcast debut, joined by my
nice.
editor, Holly, my associates,
And producer.
Laura and Zach. I'll be in charge from now on. Log in for more.
What do you got on there?
I just have my note.
He's so professional.
Brought notes.
Of course.
You know where my notes are?
Oh.
All in here.
I had so much time. I was gonna just like skim a little bit, but then I re-listened to the entire book right now.
What?
While I was waiting for you guys.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It is fresh.
He wants to say it's for the podcast, but really
The kids have been
he
asleep.
couldn't
for
get it.
hours. I was just masturbating in the other room briefly.
To Blue Alien Dick.
Yeah.
In Spurs.
Yeah.
On that note, welcome to What Did I Just Read? The Valentine's Day edition. Hi, baby.
Happy Valentine's Day. I'm in my red pinkish color.
You are. It's Rusty.
Hi. Should we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm LA.
And who are you with, LA?
I'm with my husband.
Hello, this is Jackson.
Are you
love
married
this.
to a DJ?
What?
What?
No, I was saying he sounds like a radio DJ. I didn't know you were married to a.
What can I say? I got that smooth voice. Get you in the mood for big blue dicks.
God. He likes to karaoke, but he's quite shy about it. But when I get him drunk enough, he'll start singing.
Then she can't get me to stop.
And then he stays up on the karaoke machine the whole night. Like they have to tell
love
him to
that.
get off. It's all country songs. What's your karaoke go to?
My karaoke?
Karaoke.
I don't know. Some Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That sounds good.
And he puts like his own twang to it. Anyways, sorry. Everybody knows who Zach is.
Thank you for having me back on this wonderful podcast. I'm happy to be back.
I
I'm
mean,
happy to actually.
he literally would not leave me alone
Please,
until
please.
we had him back on a romance book.
I'm just trying to give the fans what they have asked for. Okay, it's not about me. It's about the fan base. Okay,
Mhm. You're so handsome.
What are we talking about today, ladies?
Yeah. So, what did we do to our poor husbands?
Well, I feel like we both felt mutually that we have talked so much about IPB, Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, that we needed to do an episode about it.
Yeah.
And we needed to put some extra spice to it. So we thought, what better than to bring our spiciest parts along for the ride?
That's what they call us.
My nickname, Spicy Parts.
Yeah.
If I was a stripper, my name would be Spicy Parts.
I would
that's
give you
just a
so many
turn.
dollar bills, Jackson.
Hey, not in front of your husband.
Oh.
So I think before we get started, I had just two little questions to start us off, just to put us in a little bit of a Valentine's Day vibe. I just wanted to know I'm going to ask them first.
No, that's my answer to the first question.
4? Okay, well that's wrong because there is a correct answer.
Okay, fine.
So how did you and your mate first meet?
Well, there was a cave involved.
I knew it. I knew- Typical LA.
No.
She awoken to cunnilingus.
No. That is not what happened. We did meet though on Tinder because my whole saying was I was looking for booty and I got some.
And you got a cootie.
That was the third date.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was so awkward. I went to Minnesota and we all went around the table and they talked about how they met each other's spouses. And my great uncle Tom met his wife back in 1948 and had this very romantic story. And then it was my turn. And I was like, we met on Tinder. Yeah. That was it. Okay, so back at you. How did y'all meet?
How did we meet?
Please go ahead.
We met in the University of Texas at Austin theater department. I was a student. You were not. You were in the play.
The professor.
Sorry, I meant I was in the theater department. He was not, which is very contentious to theater kids. And he, so I was in the crew doing wigs and makeup, and we get to watch the run through of the musicals. And Zach was doing his musical number, and I told my friend, "Oh my God, I love this guy. He's amazing." And then I did.
Aww.
And I
Mhm.
met Holly at one of these parties or surrounding this, and she said, "We're having a movie night at my place." So I said, "That sounds wonderful. I'll be there." And I show up, and I am the only one invited
Nice.
to the
Nobody
movie.
else wanted to show up.
Uh-huh.
They didn't
Surely.
get the invite, I guess.
Wink, wink.
So,
Dirty girl.
I knew what I want and I went for it. I shot my shot.
I'm
Mhm.
sure he was
Years
so
later.
hard to get.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. There was another girl, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready for our next question? When did your cootie or your cooey first resonate for your mate?
I thought it was pronounced Quee. Anyways, I don't know when she slammed a tall beer in front of me.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for that, babe.
You're welcome.
I'll never forget. I had to come and pick him up from his apartment because his car was in the shop, quote unquote. And I was like, this guy is just not a winner. But picked him up and he walked down these steps. He had the worst pictures on Tinder. So I was like, this guy, I don't know what I'm in for. And he comes walking out and he has on this like pearl snap. It was either black or white. I think it was black button up and this cowboy hat on. And he had a carabiner with keys on it. He had these cowboy boots on. And he comes into my car and his head hits
Singing
like
his
the top
Johnny
of my car.
Cash.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And he just looks over at me and he has these piercing blue eyes. And I just like look at him. And he's like, "Hey, I'm Jackson." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
And you
Out
jumped
loud.
into his burning
Yeah.
ring of fire.
I verbally was like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "Are you ready to go?" I was like, "Yep."
I love
So
that.
I was ready to go, if you know what I mean. Okay. Anyways, what about y'all?
I do think it was when I saw you singing on stage because there's nothing sexier than confidence and talent to me. And I was like, "Duh-duh-duh-duh-duh-duh."
Yeah, I think for me it was showing up at that movie night, and I was like, "This is happening. This is happening."
Just sex in general is
No,
happening,
no,
and you're
no,
like,
she's
yes.
No, I knew that you were. I didn't know what your intentions were before, but afterwards, that was it. That was enough for me. And then it was really the
That
summer.
was when
the
I
summer
taught
of
you how to kiss. You were the
taught me.
Sequoia, and I taught you
Please.
how to kiss.
And then the summer of us short weekends and you baking me pies. That cemented.
That
it.
was
Yeah, that was nice.
pies really sealed the deal for
Yeah.
you.
It is
Summer
that, and you
pies.
said slamming gears.
You didn't make
Is
me
this-
any pies, Lorianne.
You're diabetic. How am I supposed to
I
make
wasn't when you met me.
It sounds to me like someone was fighting their cooey.
Were you fighting your cooey?
I think it's a Quee.
It's a quee, like a queef.
Sure.
It's not.
You said it, not me.
So he listened to the book. So I guess it's.
Yeah. And who read the book?
I read the book.
Who read the book in the recording?
Well,
And
the
also,
author could-
don't you
the
think the
author-
author would have something to say if some lady's reading a book and pronouncing all the words wrong?
It could also be the guy could have written the book. We don't know who Ruby Dixon is.
It's definitely a
You
woman.
don't know. You think it's a woman.
It's a
Who-
woman.
who knows?
It's a woman. Yeah. No. And
So
one of the
all of, like, the
booksellers
book-
know.
Oh, she shows up. Okay.
She does show up.
Okay. Very well.
There is a picture of her not of her, but like a video of her at a bookstore doing a book signing. And they have her planted in the children's book section. And I laughed so hard.
That's funny. So no one, I'm sure someone has tracked down who she really is if she shows up.
I mean, for sure. So
Yeah.
she is I think a New York Times journalist who
Mhm.
got burnt out on writing and started writing Planet Barbarians for fun. And it stuck.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history, and it's marvelous and it's amazing.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, actually, she started this back in 2016, I think, or something was when this was published, her first Ice Planet Barbarians. And Book Talk has taken over industry, I think, but specifically with romance. And so this whole series came back with a beautiful rearing head because it's now one of the top books.
Very cool.
Should we get into
The content?
what we felt about the book or what the book is about? Or
Yeah.
do you have more questions?
I don't have any more questions.
Well, this was my limited amount of romance that I've read. This reached a 5 on my spice meter.
Yeah.
This was the spiciest book I've
This
read.
is the spiciest book you've read.
Yeah. What about you two? You two have read a much more diverse set of.
I want to hear Jackson's answer.
Yeah.
That's a very good way of saying it. They've definitely read a much more diverse set of
a spread, if you will.
Yes, a spread of sexual
Legs?
exploration in literature. No, yeah, definitely don't read books like this. So broadened my horizons quite a bit. Made me blush a time or two. I would say it probably widened my vocabulary.
Yes. Where were you reading?
Some-
Where were you reading this book? I'm very
I was
curious.
driving to work as
Okay.
the book was being read to me by some lady, and she did a pretty good job. Wasn't too hesitant to say the things that I feel like you should be hesitant to say. So it's good.
Okay, so top of the scale for us. Where does it sit for?
What do you think, LA? Where does it sit for you?
Now I have emotional connection with it because of you. I mean, it started our whole journey together. So I still rank it, even with all the other books, I still rank it a 5. I would read them over and over and over
It's
again.
strange too.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's exotic.
It is. That is a better word than some strange.
Yeah.
Zach has a wider vocabulary than me, even though I read a lot more. I guess it's the type of books I read.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think to jump on what LA said, it does have a more emotional meaning because I think it's really like the book series that brought us together. As you like these, I like these.
Yeah.
Let's not tell anybody else. And then, oh, wait, let's tell the world and start a podcast.
It also is the book that Jackson teases me the most about because it's the one book that I told him about and said, hey, let me give you this review before I knew you, Holly, and I only had him. And he was like, wait a second. You're telling me you're reading a book about blue men having sex with women and there's something weird about their penis, something about purring, something about, and I was like, yes. So now every time I go out and say, oh yeah, I'm doing a podcast, but we read romance stuff. And he's like, yeah, like blue alien dicks. And I'm like, he's laughing at his own jokes.
Yeah.
And now you can say, LA, that he's also reading about blue alien dick.
Yeah.
You dirty birdie, Jackson.
Getting dick down in the elder cave.
I love that he gets all this now.
I do have to ask, boys, is this book what you thought it would be?
Yes.
Would you like to expand? How is
No.
in a good way or a bad way?
Neither. It's just is what it is. It's not something I would pick up based on its plot. Right? Nothing against the author, but to me, it's not exactly substantive to me, but it is entertaining. I'll give it that. Entertainment value through the roof with the spice. Very creative, right? In a fictional type way. So yeah, entertaining enough on the way to work.
What about you, Zach?
So I would say it had a more developed like world and plot than I thought it would have. So this is the most explicit book I've read. So it has lots of just scene after scene of this, and I unwittingly read more of the series.
Unwittingly?
Than just the first
How many books in this series have you
It was on accident.
It was an accident. I thought
have
it
you
was just
consumed now, Zach?
more chapters of the same book. But
how many more have you read, Zach?
Having read the first 4 entries in the series, it does get a bit.
Could not be an accident.
It was just.
It's
kept
about
going.
the plot.
Who
It's
knows?
about the plot
No,
and the world
I
building.
got a Hooters for the food.
But really, honestly, the sex scenes get a little old, and because there's only so many ways to describe the things they're doing.
Yeah.
But I was interested in seeing how she put these people into scenarios that were exactly the same, but with different people, different ways. So I thought it was interesting, and I was curious how much she had thought about the world and how all this comes together. And it appears she's thought about it a lot, or enough to write 20 books or whatever in the series.
Jesus.
He's just now realizing how long this series is.
Don't accidentally read 4 books, dude.
It felt they were so short. Like each one could have been like 2 or 3 chapters.
And Zach also listens to them on double speed. So really, they're like 5 tops, and I think the other books are like 4 to 3 hours long.
Yeah,
they're pretty short.
They're not very long. So I mean, all 4 of them together was like less than the length of a normal
they get shorter as they go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, they can only describe so many.
So after reading Ice Planet Barbarians again for this podcast, I overindulged, and I am now on book 10. And she shakes it up. New things are happening.
Well, I will admit I am curious what she could possibly write about for 12 more books, for 16 more books.
I mean, she has a formula. Yeah. She does stick to it.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I love it. It's sweet and it's cute and it's endearing. And
so the first 4 books were free on Audible for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, I think, 5, 6, 7 you have to buy, and then
worth the money
through 12 are free again.
Ooh,
that's bizarre.
Yes, it's weird, but anyway, it's. I would consider plowing through a couple more.
Yeah, you would.
We'll see. Once
what else are you gonna plow
once
through?
Once I miss them, I'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I need some time. I'm a little raw from the experience, and I need to rest.
Okay, so do we want to go through the book, or how do we want to play this?
I think we can hit the high points pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story goes pretty fast. So
it does go pretty fast. It's a fast story.
Go for it. What happens? What do you recall?
I have an irk. I wish they would have named, okay, so we know that these women get abducted. Several women get abducted by, and my irk is this, the green and orange, little aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Can we please name them? It's
2024, right? They have identities.
Right? We should figure out.
But she does in later books with the computer and languages.
So I didn't pick that up. I'm on book 8 and I didn't pick that up. What are their names?
Unpronounceable.
Okay.
But I mean, the thing, I understand what you're saying. She gives them her name, like the basketball heads or the other. She names them in her.
Yeah.
But what I like about the story of the book is that it's very she names things as she gets names for them.
As she gets information.
Yeah. So it's not, there are only a few times where I felt like, well, this is stuff that they would not know. There was one time when one of the women is she thinks, oh, we're in some other galaxy. Oh, I remember talking about the Oort cloud in high school, and so we must be somewhere. And I'm like, that's not these 22-year-olds would not be thinking. It's not like she was an astrophysicist and remembered.
That would have been helpful if one of them were.
She was not.
She was not.
As I have read her story too, she was not an astrophysicist.
Which one was this?
I think that was Kira.
Oh, he knows so much.
Too much. I know it a lot.
But they call the plan. So all these women get abducted. Some are put in a status pod. Some are not.
The basketball heads and the green aliens decide to take on more cargo to eventually sell, sex traffic, basically, is why all these women are being gathered. Yes. And then something happens to the ship. Oh, well, do we want to talk about what happens on the ship? Because it's pretty graphic and pretty dark. It's not a safe space.
No.
And this is the darkest book out of all of them. None of the other ones are as dark as the first one.
But I don't think it is without
thrown.
What?
Feces is not thrown in the other books?
I don't think that's the dark part they're talking about.
No.
Oh, the rape. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. But I do think it is necessary in some ways because it makes their having to stay on that planet more understandable.
Yeah.
Right? There's no.
They have a definitive bad guy.
Yeah, and they have no question that bad things will happen if they try their luck with the other aliens.
Right.
It's not. I think she it's horrible.
Yeah.
but it's also not. I mean, it's comprehensible because these are aliens from a different, like, who are bringing them as sex slaves,
Yeah.
so that they would dehumanize them. Makes sense,
Right.
and it gives them a reason to like, look, it makes
There's
sense.
a clear villain.
It makes sense to
There's
stay on
no
this
way
planet.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it gives them more reason to stay on the planet.
Well, especially, giant peens and spurs.
Now, those are added benefits, but I think the not rape is a huge
Added shock value.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, and I don't think she describes it in tons of detail. I think it was just, this is a horrible thing that happened. And then that girl goes and runs into the snow and commits suicide. It's pretty dark.
It is really dark that the one girl who we know of,
Dominique.
Yeah.
right, who is raped, really goes through it and ends up dying.
But it raises the stakes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it adds a sinister element to, like, you have to differentiate between like good aliens and bad aliens, I guess. And so you target them as like the bad aliens, and that there are like good aliens. They're not all the same. Yeah.
I'm just saying the rest of the book, like, is like an entirely about consent, right? The rest of the series is actually all about, look, the chief demands that you don't do anything until they
And
say yes.
that I think is a common theme in many romances now, is consent and making sure the woman agrees to everything, and that the man always is asking, is this okay? Are you comfortable? And I like that theme is continued through Ice Planet Barbarians Across the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to, because it's like a breeding trope and they don't have condoms. You have to.
Or like a choice.
Yeah, that's true.
But then they do have a choice. They give them a choice. Although anatomically don't seem to have a
Ambiguous,
choice.
really.
No, they say they won't do anything, but then they all want to because of
It's
convenient parasite, right?
Yeah, but I guess my point is that, is it really a choice if you get like the kui, like how do you pronounce it, Jackson? How is it pronounced on the
If
if you get the kui sickness, right?
No, they don't really have a choice to get the key.
No, but
But they-
no, I'm not talking about like the sickness from the air. But if you don't mate, you get the kui sickness, like you get sick
You
from
just
not.
go crazy.
because you have to fulfill your.
You haven't read
Rosanna-
Gypsy's book yet, so you don't really know.
I'm
So
sorry.
I can't
I'm so
fault
sorry.
you for that.
Well, also
But-
in the first book only, she doesn't even have a kui when all this is happening. So she decides to consent without a kui, so it's okay.
There's also some ambiguous consent in the first book. Should we keep going, because I want to
It's
talk
all-
about ambiguous consent.
Yeah, it's all very gray, because in my opinion, with consent, because you do have this parasite it has to get that need and whatever, which we'll get to. So they crash land on Not Hoth because it's a Star Wars reference. Can
Yeah.
anybody explain that?
It's an ice planet in Star Wars. It's the ice planet in Star Wars.
And it's called
Okay.
not Hoth
No,
because it's
it's
just
yeah, and
it's
Hoth is
Hoth-like, but it's not Hoth.
yeah. So that's
Yeah,
But
because they're
then
not
one
in
of-
Star Wars.
One of the girls is like, "It's the sixth planet from the blow, and this can't be Hoth." And I just think it's funny how she has these.
She added her
people-
own like
exactly,
Star Wars.
fandom in there,
Yeah. Well, and I think the Vesti are also supposed to look like at-ats.
What are Divesti?
Are they the cow? No, the Sakui, not the Sakui. Where they get the
Matlex?
yeah,
Matlex?
they're supposed to look like at-ats, right? Because they
I
have
think
like
so, yeah.
spindly legs and like big
Oh, where
bodies.
they get the kui from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has some other name.
Oh no, I was talking about the
I've
other
written
guys.
it down. One moment. It's here. You can keep talking. I'll find it.
Okay, so they crash land, they have to get out, and we follow. This book is on Georgie.
Oh yeah, just with the very beginning of the book, and that's it.
She's from Florida. Georgie from Florida.
Mhm,
That's all I remember.
The Zakotsk is the at is the
Okay,
thing
okay.
with the kuis inside it.
Yes. So Georgie kind of takes on like the leadership type role. Yeah. And they have to venture out from this crashed ship because they need water and food and shelter, and they need to figure out how to survive. So they bundle her all up, and she's the one that decides to go out. And who does she run into, babe?
blue guy.
Yeah,
How do you pronounce it?
I don't remember his name.
Bechtel.
that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. And
Cal.
Bechtel.
Yeah. That's how the lady says it in the book.
And not to rush to the part about consent, but they meet up with each other. Does he save her from the fish or does that come later?
That comes later. So she gets caught in one of his traps and gets hung upside down, and he gets her out of it.
And does not get consent before cunnilingus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't speak the same language. They don't know how to communicate with each other. And he takes her back to one of the hunting caves to get her warm and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then Holly, what transpires?
He lets her rest, and then he wakes her up in such a delightful manner.
She thinks it's a dream at first.
She
right?
does. What a lovely dream.
The ridges on the tongue gets me every time.
Everything, everything
Everything's
is ridged. Everything about them is ridged. For her pleasure. Every one of them.
What do you think about the ridges, babe?
I concur with everything Zach just said.
That's right. It's as if they dropped into the perfect planet somehow.
I mean,
Somehow.
some ladies get it all.
Yeah. And they have these blue, we didn't even describe them. They are like 7 feet tall with horns and tails.
They look
Mhm,
like
mhm.
the Avatar guys. What are they?
Yeah, yeah.
What
yeah.
are they?
The Na'vi?
The Na'vi, but with horns.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And
they're
muscular.
And with plates.
big blue ribbed.
And velvety
Dicks.
soft.
Oh
I
yeah.
just wanna-
Suede
Suede.
skin.
I wanna pet
Suede.
so
Yeah.
bad.
Well,
Yes.
so does everyone, all of the women there. You're not alone. I think that's the point of
Yeah,
their
yep,
description.
Yep.
They're hideous monsters. Oh no, wait. They're perfect in every way. After a moment's hesitation, they're
But it
perfect in every way.
is consent because he does not ask her if he can perform
But
cunnilingus.
I do think it's genius that the dual perspective is very important. Having Vectel's perspective makes it okay in a weird way because it's like, I'm doing what nature has told me to do.
Because he resonates to her right away.
Yeah.
Him,
He's like,
she
this is what's supposed to
she
happen.
is his mate.
Yeah. And then
this
as
is what
soon
they
as
do.
she says no, he's like, oh, of course. I will spend every chapter, every part getting consent before I pleasure her again.
You don't need that, babe.
So let's talk about resonate a little bit. So we've kind of already mentioned it before, but on this planet, it is toxic, I think, to be there, right? You start getting the sickness.
You have to get the kui, which is a parasitic worm.
Mhm.
In
order to survive.
In order to survive, but you need it within 6 days, is what they say,
It's
or
gonna be
else
8
you'll
days or they'll die.
or else you'll die.
And so what is I call it a cootie, which is
which is fine because that's what the girls call it. You know what? I'm gonna stick with that because we're the girls.
That's
cootie.
right.
Yeah. So, but here's the interesting thing about the cooties is that they go and they kind of pair with the mate of its host, right? So once you get this parasite who saves your life, basically, you can't live on this planet without it. It goes off and does its thing and starts resonating, right, with another cootie. So it can, and it's
If you're like
right now
it's supposed to be like your genetically ideal mate,
mate.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who you will procreate the best with.
Yeah, that was the
basically.
purpose was to make sure
It's all about procreation.
because they had
with
so
the
few
cootie.
people who crashed on this planet, which I guess we'll get to. Okay, we'll get to the backstory of
But I
this.
don't think that's
Sakui.
that's not the cootie's role. The cootie
think it
just
is.
wants not for the cootie. The cootie just wants babies.
So that's what I'm saying, to make babies. Yeah.
But I don't think it's because there's like not very many blue aliens. That's what the aliens want. That's what the Sakui want.
Well, when we get to that part of the story,
Okay.
we can
Okay.
debate.
Let's get into the Sakui. No, that's a great thing. So the Sakui are the blue alien tribe.
Mhm.
And Zach, you want to talk about their backstory? So they're not native to this planet, right?
So their predecessors were on a pleasure cruise through the galaxy.
How much do you love that?
That's pretty good.
that they were just on a pleasure cruise out and
And
about.
the captain of the pleasure cruise has a heart attack, basically.
Yeah.
And no one can drive the ship for him, so they crash into this planet. And then they've been there for 280
80-something years.
Just terrible planning,
it's
right?
very
No
good planning.
backup, no assistant
And
captain.
the ship can literally figure out a way to make them survive on this inhospitable planet, but not fly without
implant
the captain.
languages into everyone's
Yeah,
head,
no,
make sure
it's a
everyone can
smart ship.
talk, but it can't have anyone else fly the damn thing.
And
That's right,
also,
yeah.
I don't
Strange.
understand why they don't use the ship more? Like, why has it become out of fashion, this ship?
Well, so it's been, so I guess I have that same question. So, I mean, it's been 280 years, and I wonder, would they have really not passed down the stories of what happened during that time and still understand what a ship is? Because they think it's a cave. I don't know if that's enough time. I don't know if that's enough time to have forgotten their entire past.
Yeah.
But
And
but
to call it ship.
I can suspend disbelief for that
Yeah.
that one thing.
Agreed.
But I think it's a good origin story, other than the timing and wondering if it works that way, really.
And there's so it's been 280 something years, and there's a bunch of dudes left, right? Not a lot of.
There was a sickness that went through.
There was like a whole population, and then there was a sickness for all the cooties, and a lot of people died.
When mostly
A lot of blue
women
aliens died. Yeah.
And so there's only 4 female Sakui left on the planet.
And lots of males.
And a lot of
unmated males.
A big blue sausage fest in the cave.
Perfect.
So somehow Vaktel figures out that Georgie is not just a female and that he resonates with her, but there's a bunch of other females. So you can see how the author puts this together. This is just a perfect situation. They need females. There's females. There's a breeding trope in this. Bada bing, bada boom. So the Vaktel and Georgie have their moment.
Yeah. I think we should also talk about their moment too, because their moment is so weird.
It's very fast.
Moment? Or what?
Well, so we get the cunnilingus scene, and then she's trying to get him to go to the spaceship that she has more people to go to help. And so we go through their journey of her kind of figuring out the world. She finds the chompy fish with the bamboo stick heads, and he teaches her like, no, these are like hot springs. Let me teach you how to get those fish away. And look, you can like take a bath. And she takes a bath in the hot springs. She ends up running away and running into the Metlax, which we learn are kind of like, they remind me of some Star Wars character.
They're like
well.
small Wookiees or something. They're
but with like owl faces and beaks and stuff.
Strange. And then like monkeys.
Unintelligent.
Or semi-intelligent, but
yeah. Anyways, so she runs into them, gets attacked, and he saves her from them, and they go to a hunter's cave where they end up banging. They still cannot talk to one another.
But they've communicated
enough
for consent. She says yes.
She does say yes. She does not say no. I don't know how I felt about that scene. Was it hot? Yeah. But it's just like she has like so many girls waiting for her, and she's getting.
She paid but the author. I mean, there's enough like, oh, I feel bad.
But I can't go and save them. There's nothing she can do to leave
right now.
But also, this is a big blue alien. And she doesn't have she's not resonating.
She just loves him. She doesn't see skin color.
Parts of him.
Yeah, she loves the ribbed parts of him, which are all of him.
And the pointy parts.
Well, she's also utilizing her sex for a ride back up the mountain.
Yes.
He wants to carry her off and traverse the land to get back to his caves, right?
That's true.
And she's like, wait, stop, let me touch things so you can do what I want you to do.
Exactly. She's manipulating him.
She does manipulate. You're right.
So she weaponizes her sex. And then
she says that, right? Like in a lot of her thoughts.
She does say that,
yeah.
She's like, okay, but I'm enjoying this too, but I'm doing it for the other women, so it's not just for me.
It's also why I have sex. For the women.
For the women. So there's a thin enough. It works.
Okay,
It works. But yes, I also was like, wow. in the amount of fear and horrible things she's just seen, and she's literally covered in shit.
Literally jumps on board that blue dick.
And no, but even before that, she like orgasms and like after just the 10 million awful things have happened to her.
It's all about the ridges, Zach.
It's impressive.
The ridges.
I'm saying she's an impressive lady.
She kind of gets it. She kind of gets it like thrown back at her face though, because when she finally like communicates to Vaktel that she needs to go and they're to save, the other women, the women like they meet up with her and they're just like, where have you been? And Vaktel like kind of acts protective a little bit or something, and someone figures out like, have you been fucking like while we've been freezing our
Kira with like
the
one of the girls has a translator
to a corner and has sex with her.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And Kira, right? Is that what you guys were saying?
She hears what he's saying, and says like, and that's when she first hear that she's his mate, and she's like, what? I only let him go down on me and have sex with me, but I'm not a mate. So
Classic American.
Yeah.
Classic American female. We're just fucking.
We're married.
It is also interesting that she is his mate and she does not have a cootie yet. But I guess Rahash also resonates to Liz, and she doesn't have a cootie yet.
But I think those things resonate when it sees the correct pairing, the correct
Okay, it doesn't matter if
pairing.
they have
Doesn't
a
matter if they
cootie.
have one or not.
Okay.
If they can have a baby.
That's a little bit of a plot hole because in later books there was oh my god, was it Tiffany or somebody that had the IUD in? Josie.
Yeah.
And she had been with her mate forever, and then once she finally lost that,
No, she doesn't get a mate at all. And then once, yeah, you're right. Once she desperately wants a mate, and then once her
spoilers, I haven't read these yet. Okay,
you're welcome.
Who knows if they'll get together?
We're not saying with who. We're just saying once, and it's at the end of the book. You realize like once her IUD, she sees her IUD like drop onto the floor.
But she talks about that in other books before.
Yeah, but once like her IUD like falls out of her body, all of a sudden she starts resonating.
So why is that a plot hole, or what's the
your body? So it's because she's already met her mate, like so you would think that they would have resonated at that time, but it kind of goes, I guess,
are either of them resonating?
They didn't
not resonate to her.
Yeah, so they can. I'm saying that they can fall in love without resonating.
Like, Vaktal was screwing that healer lady before he met Georgie.
Yeah, but he wasn't resonating to her. Like, I know, like, I think my point is that, like, he was already resonating to her, but Georgie didn't have a cootie to resonate with. But I guess she was already fertile.
Yeah, I think we should separate definitions between mating, right? And like there's mating, then there's fucking, and then there's like relationships. I think in this book, there's room for all of that, right? Yes. Because if you were to sit there and have a set definition for mate and like the cootie, because I mean, by that definition, if it's only resonating for your ideal mate or the person you can
breed with, it's only the one you can breed with.
Not everybody's partner would be the same, right? Like you'd think one cootie could resonate for her, but she could resonate for someone else.
I think they do pair with the cooties pair with each other too. And so they don't send mixed signals like that because they want them to mate. They want them to have babies.
Yeah. But I think you biologically have to be, because there's another story, and it's not a spoiler, but she's barren. She can't have children.
I read that one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and then she doesn't resonate until her, and then that's another thing too, is your cootie gives you other like special enhanced, I call them powers, but it's not. It like makes you warmer to tolerate the cold more. It heals your body. So if you have something like wrong in it, which I thought was pretty ingenious of the author to put in there as well, because what do you do when you have an IUD and you don't have a medical person to take that out? Or
that's why I mean that's how she can stretch it out. And there's people come and become fertile in different like later in the cycle, right? So
yeah,
definitely people getting stretched out, but
yes, they stretch it out. That's clear.
So once the women are saved, for me, I think we talked about a lot what happens, but then it gets kind of interesting because I think this book is the springboard, obviously, for the other companion novels, which, they eventually all get their own cooties. I don't know if you guys want to go into that, but then once they get them all in, then some start resonating, some don't. There's some foreshadowing.
First, they have to cut out their trackers to get off the ship.
That's right. Oh yeah, I forgot about
that. But yeah, then there's also you're completely right. They tee up the next book and follow-on books. She's like, someone was resonating in the ship, but they didn't own up to it. But they will. Yeah, no, I mean she
does a good job.
She knows what's coming
throughout the books.
It clearly wasn't written as a standalone novel.
No,
like she knows that.
She knows the next pair, the next
like series or she knows other things are going on.
Yeah, and then they all go to the Elder Cave and
get the language dump, right?
No. She gets the language dump before they go back and rescue.
Yeah, but then they all.
No. After she goes back with Vectel first, they find them all
to get all the help from the hunters.
Then they go to the big cave to get the help, and she gets the language dump.
Yeah.
And then they come back and get everybody and do the kill the, what is it called again?
Or the
Tots.
Zakotsk. Yes, Zakotsk. The big one, the big uns.
Mhm.
And rip out their heart and take out the parasites and implant them in the ladies. Yep, and that's how they are saved. It's a beautiful story.
Oh, but then there's the talking them into getting the parasites. And that's the whole thing on consent too, because Georgie's like, well, it's your decision if you want it or not.
Or you want to die.
Yeah. Or do you want to die?
Yeah.
Because you will if you don't get it, and there's really no other way off this planet. And she's like, but I'm going to stay because I'm pregnant.
Well, that was another one. I was like, wow, she knows. The moment she's like, I couldn't be pregnant. I'm due to have my period yesterday. I'm pregnant. Damn it! She know immediately. I'm always 100% on time.
That part was like a bit weird.
Or just like the general assumption that you can't get impregnated by an alien. We're not
Yeah.
the same race. Or
Yeah.
we're not the same, you know. There's
But they
no
have
way.
there's a good quote about that. It's a Great Dane can impregnate a Chihuahua. Guess which one you are. I appreciated that. I think she's funny. She's funny, and like she
There's
writes,
a lot of good
there's some
quips.
good humor in there.
Yeah. And I think that's also what makes these books so good, is that the author gets it. She knows what kind of books that she's writing, and it feels that she's also not taking herself seriously. Like there's humor in it.
Yeah. No, there's
Good entertainment.
even for some dark stuff, she puts enough humor in that it works.
Well, I have a final question, I think. Would you, and it's for the boys, would you ever allow Holly and I to recommend another book? And
No,
would
I
you?
did not know where that sentence was
Yeah, I was
going.
like, please don't.
Oh, allow.
I didn't
No,
either.
no,
I was like,
no.
wait, what are we gonna
Would
get
you
to?
ever
What are we
allow
gonna-
Holly and I?
Wait, and
Why?
then my other
No.
thought was like, why do we need their permission?
It's consent, Holly. It's about-
Strong, independent women, Laura.
Okay, let me rephrase. No, let me rephrase. Would you guys ever read another book that Holly and I suggest?
Sure.
Oh,
I am currently in the middle of a book that you Ellen, suggested to me, and then
Me?
you did not read. Yes, the previous book we were supposed to read.
House of Leaves.
Right.
Does it get any better?
I'm 300 pages into it.
You're still reading that?
I mean, I stopped, but I am 300 pages in perpetually until we finish it.
Are you in like an addendum into 300 pages in?
I
Or are
have
you
read-
like on page 69 and it tells you go to page 300?
I have read a total of around 300 pages of the 800 to 900 pages in that book, wherever they fall.
Do you want to read that one?
No.
Neither does
pages
LA.
just
Neither
have like
does
5 sentences on it, to be fair.
Oh, you're right.
I'm just saying.
It's awful.
Anyway, they tricked me into reading this book, and then neither of them read any of it.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, it's still on my floor. That's how much I love it. It's not even on the bookshelf. It's on the floor.
Next Halloween. This Halloween.
On the bottom.
Terrible review for a book you haven't read on a book podcast.
And it's probably one of the most expensive books I own as
The author
well.
should reach out to you for saying such negative things about a book you
I
haven't
don't even know if this author's still alive.
The guy's
Well,
definitely still alive.
is
I think
he?
the guy's still alive.
It's old.
Stars. He's not going to suffer
no,
because of our
It'll be
Italy
it'll be-
podcast.
No, but to answer, yeah, I would read other things you all suggest.
other short books that you suggest.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it boy?
Not a 900-page book.
Is it boy's choice next time?
Yeah.
It could be Zach's choice 100%.
He would pick. He's listening to Mythos by Stephen Fry or Fry. I don't know.
Yeah, Stephen Fry. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I have that one too.
Yeah, he's really. You're really liking it,
Yeah.
right? He likes a lot of mythology, and so I was like, "There's a ton of a romance mythology, like the Dark Olympus series."
I'm reading one right now, Jackson. It's a throuple.
Midnight Ruin.
I've like started it and I'm not enjoying it.
I'm hating it, and I'm like 60 pages in. I'm done. I like don't want to read it. Eurydice pisses me off.
I'm not enjoying it at all.
Which, by the way, was also sorry, total left field. Pen pal, the boat's name is Eurydice, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I like to bring it full circle for you, LA, whenever I can.
I
In
think
that book.
I think these names have been used in literature for the past 2,000 years.
No, never.
So it's not these two books only that are using these names.
No, you're wrong.
But back to back. Back to back.
What?
But we just
What a how
yeah.
should we close it out?
Yeah. So thanks for visiting my podcast. See you next time.
Stupid. No, thank you guys for coming.
Well, thanks guys for coming on
I
to
think
our
we
Valentine.
should all resonate.
I don't know if this
that works.
feels silly.
Did you hear that? Okay.
Maybe I'll put on a purring thing for the
That's
end of it.
silly. That's silly.
That's
Zach.
Yeah.
so silly.
Sorry, the serious book we talked about, and I ended in such a silly way. I apologize.
No.
I think this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys coming on to our podcast. Not only coming on and talking with us, but like actually reading the book, our silly book that we love so much.
Best husbands. Happy Valentine's Day,
Happy Valentine's.
guys.
It was a fun read and fun to talk about it with all of you.
Love you. We want to see you guys soon. So move back to Texas. Okay, thanks.
Working on it, right?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting closer.